Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever time you are joining us, um, and whatever time you are watching the recap of the session. Right. So once again, welcome to the Elite Book Readers Club, and we are currently at our book review session. Right. If you are tuned with us, you would have known that we do have a book review session every month. And this time around, we are reviewing a very interesting book. I'm going to tell you so. Um, the title of the book is I Hear You. But before I go into the book, quickly want to introduce the club to you for the sake of new members. The Elite Book Readers Club has a vision which is to redefine human potentials through literature. Our mission is to sculpt a future where human potentials knows no bound, empower young minds to shatter the barriers of conventional thinking and guide them on a transformative journey of self-evolution, pushing the envelope of creativity, impact, and visionary leadership. Okay, so currently, we focus on just three themes, which are personal growth and development, financial planning and management, relationship building, and emotional intelligence. So, we are a club that believes in the impact of books for capacity development. Like I tell people, the club is not a club for book lovers, it's a club for people who are passionate about self development and consider book as a tool towards that actualization. So once again, welcome. And on the panel with me, or on this review section with me, are incredible minds. As you can see on my profile, um, I have myself. I have Adrian Williams, who is a chemistry student, a 400 level ultimate student at the University of Benin. She's also an administrative virtual assistant, financial secretary at the Elite Book Readers Club. Also, I have Rukere Yekipolo, who is a researcher and lecturer at University of Benin, Nigeria, which is also a member of TIPRIGHT. Um, I have Regina Blanksin, who's a project manager, a cybersecurity enthusiast. She does freelancing as a ghostwriter, and she's the vice president operations at the Elite Recruiters Club. They have Chikudi Okekiaro, the guy who has been the brain behind so many of our posts on LinkedIn. So he is the founder of the Creative Signatures Org, and the ethical marketer, and is an ethical marketer and storyteller. Then he serves as the creative content director at the Elite Book Readers Club. So I think Chico, they should join us soon, and Riku Polo. Okay, so for this wonderful session, I want to do the anchoring. So I'll also be participating like a reviewer, while Regina, our very own vice president operations, would do justice to that. Okay, thank you. But before we go fully into the session, I would like you to drop wherever you're joining us from. So in the comment section, I would like to drop if you're joining us from any part of Nigeria, any part of the world, UK, United States. So we would love to see that. Yeah, right. So can you just drop the comments? Yes, yes, yes. Let the comments keep coming. Okay, I can't see your comment yet. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, yeah. Israel Adetunji, Peace, yeah, Kenneth, Jero, yes. Welcome. You guys are all welcome. You're all welcome. Yeah, you're all welcome. Okay, so without further ado, so Regina, you can continue and take over. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Peter. Good evening, everybody. It's great to have
Yeah,
you
good
here with
evening.
us. It's great to have you here with us. I think I should just say good day because it's evening here, but it may not be the same wherever you are tuning in from. Okay, I can see some people are joining from Lagos, Nigeria, from Asaba. Okay, good. And for those joining from other regions, a good day to all of you. So this month we'll be reviewing our book "I Hear You" by Matthew Sorensen. Okay, it's the summary. It's a book that talks about everyday communication and how people should be able to actually interact with others to get, I don't know how you say, to get to show them that they they empathize with them, they understand them. But the book mainly talks about communication, being able to actually understand and listen. When you listen to somebody, actually be able to understand what they're trying to, the message they're trying to pass to you. So up now is the publisher's summary. This is talking about the author and how the book has changed or is working in everybody, people that have read their lives, the summary they gave on the book. Sorry, just let me see if I can get a better view of this. Okay, good. So it's talking about how you can actually build up your conversations so that they would improve your relationships with people, and how this skill will help you to improve relationships with your friends at work, with your spouse and your family, and also how there's some simple skills that you can use to improve these relationships through communication. And these are being calm, increasing feelings of love, being able to really resolve or even have, no need to have arguments, and help others to become more open to your point of view, to give advice and to give feedback that actually, resonates with the person that's receiving it, to provide support and encouragement. And even because not every problem really has a fix, sometimes somebody just wants you to listen and they want to be sure that you are hearing what they are saying, not just to be there, but to actually be there to make a difference. So these are the things we'll be looking at on the book review this evening. Okay, I don't know. Peter already introduced me, but let me introduce myself again. I'm Regina Blankson. I'm the VP Ops for the Elite Book Readers Club. And I'd like this to be an interactive session as much as possible. So before we continue, I'd like to I want to make sure that everyone is following, that we're on the same page. So if you could drop in the comments what you'd rate the book, on a scale of 1 to 10. Just let me know how you rated the book. So before we even start the review, I want to see, okay, these are people's reactions and this is what they actually felt like when they read the book. So on a rate scale of 1 to 10, just drop a number of how how you saw the book, how it resonated with you, how much you enjoyed it. All this will go around, us giving us a rating to see if it's a 10, a 5, or 1. You know. Okay, good. Ajiri says it's a 9 for her. Thank you, Ajiri. That's really good. I'm waiting to see more comments from people that are on the live stream with us. As they tag or sorry, drop in their ratings. Now, talking about the author a bit, let's just digress a bit. Said Michael Sorensen was actually somebody who was into marketing. He was a marketing director who eventually became a motivational speaker and a relationship coach. And this was based on the success of his book, I Hear You. So you can imagine a book that actually turned around the author's career path. It gave him a different trajectory totally, because he was able to create something that he believed, and which, based on reviews, sales, and the success of the book, showed that he was onto something. It talks about the concept of validation in relationships. Now, some people don't realize that validation in itself in conversation is actually the key to saying, this is how you let somebody know that I understand you, I hear you. So I took a course once on customer services, and one of the things we learned was active listening. Now, this was being able to let the person who was chatting or speaking with you on the phone know that you could not just hear them, you could empathize with them. You could understand the exact message they wanted you to pick out from all of the things they said. And this is, I think, the concept of validation, where you say, when somebody tells you, look, I'm having this, for example, problems, you're not going to start jump back and say, oh, I think you should do this. No, no, no. You let them know, I hear you. Did you actually mean you are having this? Because there's some things that affect you in certain ways, but they don't affect people in the same way. So you want to make sure that you're actually getting what they're saying and to let them know that what they are feeling is valid. Okay. So now, if you're still following me, please drop an emoji in the group. I'd like to see something showing that I'm actually I'm actually talking here and making sense.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm listening.
Okay.
Hello?
Okay. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. Hello. Yes, I can hear you. That's Rukere,
I'm
right?
listening.
Yes, it's great to
Yes,
have you.
yes, I'm
Thank you.
okay.
Okay. So now, okay. So now we're talking about the power of validation. We're talking about the power of validation and what validation I've actually talked about the concept. So now we're talking about the power of validation. Said, is this worth your time? This was in chapter one. So why is this worth your time? So when you talk about that or you think about the concept of validation, why do you think it's worth your time to be able to relate better with people, to be able to, how do I say, connect better with people, network better with people. And then we've talked about validation, so validation 101. And then there's a common misconception in communication. Okay. But I'd like to get takes from some of our other um, co reviewers. So please, if you're all here, please let me just hear you say yes so I can ask someone to take another session so we can hear
Yeah,
what someone else.
yeah, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. So, I mean, this book is a really amazing book for me so far. 148 pages or 127 pages, depending on the kind of version you're reading. And so far, I feel, despite its brevity, it
Hmm.
is very rich in content. Like everything was a gold mine. Like to see things differently. In fact, I don't want to go into the full review yet because full of energy right now, like to share some things that I'm learning and to share my experience with the book. Like during the course of the week, I out of okay, Peter, hold yourself, okay. But I was able to apply this stuff, and it's both like magic. Seriously, it's like a magic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So I want to talk a bit more about the common misconceptions we have about communication. So, I'd like people to let me know what are the common misconceptions people have about communication.
Hmm.
Rookie, would you like to say something? I'd like to know what you feel about common misconceptions on communication.
I don't think she's okay.
People
Mm,
communicate for different reasons.
okay.
There are people that communicate. There are people that communicate to just speak. They don't want to speak out. Why others communicate out of feelings? You understand me? They communicate out of feelings, and those that communicate out of feelings, they want their feelings to kind of validated. They want their feelings to be heard, and not really what they're saying anyway. For instance, let me use based on gender, for instance. For instance,
Okay.
if a woman tells you that, oh, I know you don't love me, maybe what she might be saying then at that particular time, instance,
Sorry, we lost you.
Yeah, I think maybe she's having a
Oh,
network issue.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, like I don't know, Regina, because
Yeah.
in the scheme, I think we also have like common misconceptions to discuss later on. But let me
Okay.
just raise some things up, like so like the concept of validity and honesty. That's another. alt button. Like, oh,
Okay.
because I'm validating you does not mean I have to agree with you, right? That's another
Okay.
conception. Um, I think another one is like people mistake sympathy for empathy, right? Uh,
Okay.
you you you're trying to validate the person, but actually you're sympathizing with the person. And I don't think anyone wants a sympathizer. Like, don't pity me. Try to be in my shoe. Like according to the book, said sympathy is you staying outside and looking in, right? While
Okay.
empathy is you coming into the situation with the person to now give a statement, right? So that's another different misconception. Or how do I really use sympathy to empathy? And then I think another one is people feel like the only thing they can validate is negative emotions, right? They only come to you when you are down, when you're depressed, when you're going through one issues or the other. Whereas that's not the case. Like validation applies to both positive situations beyond just the negative. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff we need to discuss, but let's just take it like one step at a time. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Good evening.
Hello. Good evening. Go on.
Okay, okay. I wanted to point out one other misconception about validation. This was something that I noticed prior to this week, and after I read that book, the book, I was able to identify it. One thing about validation is that some people knows how to give validation, but they give it just so that they can leave, like they just want to leave the conversation. When you have some people are having conversation with someone and they just don't want to they don't want to like be in that conversation for so long, so they just give you some kind of validation so that they can just opt out immediately. And that's not validation, because according to the book, validation is the ability to be heard and also to give response in accordance to what is heard, like the ability to be heard, to be felt. But some people just want to give validation so that they can just opt out. Not that they don't know the importance of it, but they don't just want to be in that environment to communicate to the person, probably because of they feel like the person talks too much, or the person does not listen to them, is not teachable also. Because there are a lot of people that comes on and they want to share their problems or their happy moments with you, but um even though they need your advice or they need you to share in with them, they are not just teachable. They can stay for so long talking, and everybody has so many other things to do. Some people just say, okay, yeah, that's good, this that, all right, and then they just move on. They just give validation so that they could just opt out immediately from that conversation, which is not supposed to be so. So that's one
Okay.
other misconception about
Okay.
validation.
Thank you. And to buttress the points you just made, to buttress this point you just made, I'm going to quote a part of the book. It says, in today's fast paced, ever connected world, we have dozens of distractions vying for our attention. You might think that as long as you seem attentive in a conversation, it's okay to let your mind work on other things. Nothing could be further from the truth. When we're not fully present, people notice. Now, that quote sums up the point you were carrying across, I believe, that when we don't really focus on what people are actually telling us while we're distracted or trying to just get rid of them, they know. Okay.
Yeah, true.
Okay. Rookie, you're back. So let me turn to you and ask: would you share a recent situation where you use or you could have used validation?
Okay. I use it mainly when I'm interacting with students, because a lot of students, maybe due to their
Oh, I think she's having education.
Yeah, the network is really terrible at her end. Mm.
Yeah. Okay. So I can just chip in like my own
Okay.
story.
Okay.
Like
Yes,
um
you're even going to share one earlier, so
yes, yes, I was trying to like consider myself.
network.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so let me
Yeah.
just continue. So that
Sorry, Peter. Sorry, she's back.
okay,
She's
okay, okay,
back.
network. Please, I'm sorry, it's network. It's just going on and off. Sorry, please.
yeah.
It's
Okay.
network.
Can you still go
Okay.
on?
So,
Okay.
yes, yes, yes. So most time when they
Okay.
come, maybe some of them, for instance, I'm advisor to year three students, and some of them, due
Okay.
to their maybe their people they related with in year one, year two, they had
Mm-hmm.
very poor performance. So when they come to year three now, they have to drop some courses of year three to accommodate the lower level courses. So when
Yeah.
they come at that level, I understand they feel heartbroken, they're not happy. So I actually validate them. I understand that okay, maybe they didn't understand the environment of the school system. But I try to
Mm-hmm.
encourage many of them, by telling them critical stories of people who have done similar things and so they came out better. So I validate them and I share experience with them, and with time, they accept their fate that okay, this is how they should go. They drop the year three courses, they take the lower courses, and most of them do very well, do pretty well, and they become happy thereafter, and keep flowing. So I always encourage them because I not understand what they're going through. I understand. So I know their pains and all that. So at least I passed through that system. I know what they're going.
Mm. Okay. Thank you so much. I thank God that was just in time. Her network has gone again. Okay, so Peter, share your experience
It's
with
very,
us.
very tricky. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so let me quickly keep in mind. So I had like two specific scenario, but I can only share one because the other one is a bit private.
Okay.
For the first one, I met with a colleague of mine. I don't know if you're following the news. Currently, it's kind of a terrible situation in Bangladesh. Um,
Yes, yes, the student
the
protests.
government, yeah, the student protest. Now it has gone beyond student protest, and they're like anyone that does come outside, anyone that's
Beyond
anti-government
student
is
protests
just
is
thinking
actually
so because
calling for a change of governance and everything. Yes,
exactly like a revolution, right? So a lot
exactly.
of
Yeah.
curfew, a lot of they were taking like people lost access to the internet, like they can't use the Facebook, they don't have access to internet, and she has a family in Bangladesh. So I just met her,
Wow.
I was like, "Hey, how you doing? Hope you're fine." Like your face, like we met on the hallway. I'm like, "I hope you're fine." She was like, this is something that happened at home, like Bangladesh, blah blah blah." And because I've read this book, I was like, wow, that must feel so terrible. Like I was able to get into her emotions, like get into her feeling, able to empathize, like put
Mm-hmm.
myself in that situation
Shoes.
and try
Yeah.
to relate it with the NSAS protests that were called in Nigeria, how the situation
Mm-hmm.
involves. Like, and I still came back to the fact that I don't think the NSAS or what I experienced can be as terrible as yours. Like, because in your case, like I feel as I was still with my family, but you are with your family.
Yeah, not with your
You
family.
can't like, and now they've cut off the internet access. You cannot even know how far they are going. You
How
can't
far
reach
they're
them,
going.
and all
Yes.
those things. So it's really that I was able to feel like we spoke for like almost 30 minutes while standing on the highway. Like at the end of it, they were still able to like okay, you know, I sought like a loophole to like give should I say an advice. I was like
Mm-hmm.
I know it's really terrible, and maybe the fact that the network goes bad after all the many talk, like maybe it could help your family not to look at too much news that can affect their heart, and they
Mm-hmm.
start panicking, and for you to yeah, things are terrible at home, but you are in you're in university, you are a research
Mm-hmm.
student, you're a PhD student, you have to deliver work, you have to be in right mindset because she
Mm-hmm.
was heading to the lab, and you can't go to the lab with that kind of attitude, like with that kind of sad,
Yeah.
because you could just mess up your entire experiment, right?
Yeah.
And you have to produce
Yeah.
results for your
Yeah.
publications and for meetings. And like maybe you just try to take just maybe for some few minutes, I'll just go from the media, and so that you can have that mental state. And I mean, we had a wonderful chat, and I was like, wow, this thing worked magic. Serious.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
great.
glad she felt better anyway after
Okay,
the conversation.
I'm glad. I'm glad that that worked well. That the book, some learnings from it have been implemented, and you can actually see that yes, those things are actually great. Now, to put in a quote again, just to validate what you already said, And Sorensen in his book says that we need more than just a listening ear. As humans, we need to feel heard, but not just heard, we need to be understood. We need to feel understood. We need to feel accepted and appreciated. So good listeners, therefore, do more than just listen, they validate. Now, this is where they calm your fears, your frustrations, they help you to resolve arguments. And this validation has two main things that is made up, in it. It's they identify the emotion that you are conveying to the person in that message you're communicating, and then they justify your feeling for that emotion. Because some people will, that's a negative, by the way, to try and knock down what the person is feeling. Just like, what you said now, that when this happened, she told you about the protests. You likened it to your protest, in Nigeria, but that didn't make you take away from her protest. Instead, you still made her feel that her fears were valid, because you gave reasons saying that at least I was still with my family, but you are not. So it's even made harder on you, because you don't have access to your family, and you don't have access to internet to be able to follow up with them. So you listened, you empathized, you brought out an instance where the person can relate, that okay, this person actually relates with what I'm trying to say. They really understand my fear. And then you validated that fear by letting them know that this is why they're feeling that way, and that their emotions were totally valid. So I think that's a very good one. So now, um,
Yeah, I don't know
how
if
do you?
Kingsley wants to say something. Kingsley?
Yes, I was just going to ask him. Hello.
I think he has been having issues with his network also.
Network also. Wow. So I was just going to say, how did using validation affect the outcome? But you just provided an example of that, from your conversation with your friend. So moving on, we're looking at the impact of validation on relationships. Now, some examples from the book and personal experiences. So we've all read the book, and it would be great if we can get an insight from somebody, an example about where they noticed that validation actually improved communication. Okay, Peter, could you
Okay.
go?
Okay,
Okay,
I think I just
sorry,
lost. Yes,
Idris,
yeah.
please go on, go on.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes.
From an example from the book where validation was used, as it was like I think the beginning of the book, the forward or so,
Okay.
where um the man has to, like, he was on a date with this lady he liked, and he didn't know what was going on with her, but he felt like this was the worst date ever. But as the date ended and they were all he was taking her home, and she began to open up when he started asking her certain questions and trying to validate her emotions and whatever she was saying. That also now brought me back to something that happened to me this week. Um, I was giving a story. It's not like it's a story actually. I was talking to somebody about my sister and all of that, and the person was like, he was listening. But I noticed something. According to the book, they say in 2014, the use of phones while communicating, like when you are talking with someone and your phone is on, your screen is on, it can also make the person see you as you are not listening. And this person
Yeah.
was actually doing it to me. And this was the process whereby I've read this book.
This
So
book.
everything was coming to my head like, oh, this person is not listening to me. I don't know that. And and I had to bring it to his notice. I'm like, you're not listening to me. I'm saying these things and you're not listening. I mean, like, listening to you. I can hear everything you're saying. I can quote everything you've said so far. I said, well, you start quoting. And he was saying, even after he said it, and I knew that yes, he was listening. But still, I was like, because divided and you were not really
Yes.
listening to me. I wanted all the attention to myself. And
Yes.
that actually caused a major issue at the end of the day because um going by my faith, I'm in the process of like praying for certain people, and in my prayer time I had a message for him. I was actually angry after the whole communication time. I got angry and I left his presence. So while I was praying and I had a message from him, because of that anger of it was, so this is how far validation can actually affect one's relationship. Because of
Mm-hmm.
saying something very, very important that was dear to my heart. I
Important.
said I was
Yeah.
not going to give him the message God gave to me. And he was actually going through certain things that he needed that message so badly. And by God's grace, he was able to there was a way he was able to navigate his way to me, and I apologized to him. I gave him the message and the whole thing died off. And I saw the very importance of validation at that process. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was the it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, quickly, let me quickly interject here. I love the example you just cited, especially the personal one. And seriously, validation is really that important. But no, don't let me use the word but. And I mean, learning from the book, trying to use the but anyhow. Yeah. So, and the interesting part is when you now know about validation, right? You know about validation, you know how to validate others. And sometimes you expect that the other person or your friend or the person you're chatting with should validate you likewise, right? Because
Yeah.
you have the exposure and you can easily see through the person that is not listening or stuff like that. But I have to use both here in this case now because in the book he cited a particular quotation, a particular quote from Mahatma Gandhi. I'll read it out. He said, "Whenever you have truth, it must be given with love, or the
Mm-hmm.
message and the messenger will be rejected."
Hmm.
Yeah, whenever you have truth, it must be given with love, or the message and the messenger will be rejected. I relate that to what she just said. I relate that also to my own personal story I want to share. So,
Okay.
just like she shared, she has an understanding of validation, and this guy is not validating. He's checking his phone. He's doing all these things, and to him, it's not like a big issue. It's like, after all, I hear with my ear, right, and not with my hand, and he's right. So, and you're quite exposed. You're like, no, I don't think you're listening. So maybe you pausing and like, oh, I don't think you're following me. You're like, okay, oh, why do you think I'm not following you? You're not giving me attention. But that does not mean that, okay, no problem. You just end it there. So it's not like as if you're trying to teach him a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
But later on, maybe when you get like calm, you know, oh, you know that yesterday, I think you should read this book I just recently read, and it exposed my mind to how validation works. So, like yesterday, although you never meant to um, give that signal that you're not listening to me, right? But
Mm-hmm.
what's your um, external stuff. I mean, what you were doing at that moment was depicting something else, was insinuating something else. Then you're like,
Exactly.
oh, I see. Then the person would even love to read that book. Yeah, that's another approach to it, right? There's no one way. Like, definitely, I'm sure you'd have done. You should have used. I mean, you have done another way. You have done. I mean, you have used another way for that or to resolve that. Um, but for my sake, like a friend of mine was sharing, I was not sharing full details of things, so she was sharing the issues she was having in the lab and stuff like that. And I was like, yes, again, validation. Wow, like, oh, I can, like, yeah, that, like, I was able to get into a situation, like,
Mm-hmm.
well, you mean that professor said that to you? Seriously? I was like, that was not something you can want to tell a PhD student. It can break the person's spirit. I was like, wow.
Okay.
Then later I was like, then because I could hear the person saying, oh, I don't think this professor is that like that. Like the professor, I think it's just maybe that today she just decided to just say this, but she's been a darling and stuff like that. I was like, okay, what if maybe you have been the one showcasing this particular attribute, and she's now trying to validate what you are going through. It's not like she's trying to call a spade, but she's just trying to
Mm-hmm.
validate and be able to see things from that direction, right? And be able to, like, just navigate and see that, oh, maybe this or maybe that. And I think, yeah, I think that's where the truth also come in place. Like, I don't fully agree with what she has said, but at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
I have to feel her pain. Then now let us
Mm-hmm.
see later on what could be maybe the actual positive side to this thing. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's
Sorry.
great. Yes.
Okay. What Mr. Officer just said, like
Mm-hmm.
about helping the person to see what I was trying to say, like in terms of giving the person the book. Actually, after that day, I and giving him the person the message, because I was not still like happy, and I was thinking that this person could do this same thing to somebody else, and I have had the knowledge of this thing. So I ended up actually telling the person about this particular book and teaching the person, and it actually helped. It actually helped the person. Now that, like, if we are talking, the person tends to like listen and keep every other distractions away, and I was just
Okay.
happy with the person I am.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Ajiri. I want to just quote another part of the book, which actually speaks to what both Peter said and what Ajiri said, to share what the experiences you just shared. And it says that researchers have discovered that passively supportive reactions, which are quiet, understated support, are deemed as just as harmful to a relationship as actively destructive reactions. For example, deliberately, shooting down a person's thoughts or invalidating their feelings. So, this speaks to what we just said. That quote speaks to what we just said. So, now we're looking at what is the difference between sympathy and empathy. Yeah, okay, we're going to go by, let me just go by a dictionary definition first. Sympathizing is when you're actually feeling sorry for someone, feel pity for the person, compassion for the person. But empathy is when you are putting yourself in that person's shoes. You are looking at whatever it is that they're going through from this perspective that you were the one going through it. So they're actually two different things. I can feel sorry for you, but I may not empathize with you. And I may empathize with you and not feel any pity for you. So those two things are different. Now, I'd like people to tell me what they think about empathy and sympathy, the difference.
Yeah. So, sorry, I had to just chat that job that's on the LinkedIn so that members can also like enjoy the
Participate.
conversation. Yeah. So it's not
Yeah.
as if we're like we are like the special reviewer, but everyone is reviewing the book, right? That's when we do it in
The thing is,
TBRC.
I was
So
wondering that I couldn't really see our guests list, so I don't even know who I'm going to say join in, chip in.
yeah. I mean, I think we're still trying to figure out this platform, but definitely. So please and please, for those that are viewing, please drop your comments. We will see it. We'll see it. Right. So what do you think about sympathy and just so let me just quickly like chip in my own concept of sympathy. And it also fall back to I don't know if you remember the book we read in TBLC, I think a couple of months I think is it a couple of months? Yes, a couple of months back. The Gift of Imperfection by
Mm,
Brené Brown. Yes, she said a lot of stuff about sympathy and empathy, which also relate with what I hear. In fact, I think Michael also referenced her in some part of his book. So, like, I will try to give more of a scenario situation.
okay.
I think I'm trying to recall. Let me check the book again. There are some phrases he used that I feel that we are very conversant with, and that we can use to distinguish between sympathy and empathy. Maybe when I find that I will share it. But so like sympathy most times is like you said, feeling pity for someone. I don't think anyone wants to feel pitied. Seriously. Sometimes when people share that situation, they're not trying to share it so that you can sympathize with them. That's number one. They're not sharing it so that you can give them advice, and all of a sudden you have turned to Mr. Advisor. Sometimes it's just like they have the burden within them, and they know that sharing it is just one part of or half of the solution to the problem. Like as people will say, a problem shared is a problem half
Wow.
solved. So so when you like when I say this particular thing, and then you're not bringing in the oh sorry, what a pity. I don't. I mean, like that could have been worse. Like,
Mm.
how did it get to that extent? So you mean you? Let's say someone says that I'm going through issues with my boyfriend, let me say, or girlfriend. You're like, oh, that guy, no, 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 that guy, you don't deserve him. You know, you're just trying to, all of a sudden, you're turned to an advice, or you're trying to, or you started thinking about, let's say someone is having issues with masturbation because it's now becoming a rampant issue now. People with pornographies and the likes, and shares that part with you, and like, seriously, you mean you do this? I mean, like all in the name of that's gross. You know those many attitudes we give. That's like sympathy, and it really turns people off.
It actually
And
feels more like judgment than sympathy.
exactly, you're judging me that I'm in a bad situation. That's judgment, even if you
Mm.
never meant to be. Or maybe I'm telling you that I'm struggling with academics. Yeah, you're sympathizing with me in a way that feels like maybe I am lazy. You know,
Mm.
that's another approach, right? But empathy is you
Mm-hmm.
trying to be in the shoe of the person, but it's not in all cases that you can relate. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So empathizing, I think the author also mentioned that when empathizing, if you can't relate to the situation, you can just tell the person, I'm not sure I can really relate to what you're going through, but I think it will really be a difficult situation. Or maybe even maybe the person is really happy now, not even in a bad situation now. Let the person is really happy. And like I'm not sure I can really relate to how happy you are, but I know you definitely are very, very happy at this moment. So it's not all cases that you now start talking about what happened to you. And sometimes people in an attempt to like advise in an attempt to calm down the situation, they now shift the focus to you, to themselves. And you that they are trying to sympathize or empathize with, all of a sudden you're not the one sympathizing with the person. You're like, maybe for instance, like maybe a girl's talking about a breakup with a boyfriend, and you're not like, oh, the guy broke up with you. Oh man, has come. That reminds me of this guy I broke up with, and this guy, no, this guy broke my heart. He did this, and you spent hours talking about you, and the discussion really
The
shifted
focus
from
changes.
the person to you, and that those are kind of the approaches that people have done, and it's really wrong. Yeah, don't let
Yeah.
me feel.
Okay. And I just want to pick out some of the comments that we've been getting from our LinkedIn feed. It says Ejiro says he believes validation is very important. Is very important. He wants the same energy at which he's communicating so that the person doesn't feel sad. You know. So this is from sympathy and empathy again. When you're saying something and the person is coming at you with the energy that you're coming, I'm coming to tell you something that is going on, that I feel that, okay, I want you to be able to validate my feelings, that what I'm saying is actually valid. And you are coming at me and letting me know that there's Olympics in suffering, for example, using Peter's example in Heartbreak. You're letting me know there's an Olympics for suffering, and you want to let me know that yeah, you had it worse than me. That's not really the way it should go. So, does
I
anybody
think
else
it's even
want to drop a line for
okay,
sympathy and
don't let me
empathy?
say too much. I think, but let me just check this in. I think it has become almost like a trend. I don't
Yeah.
know with some people, some folks. It's not a
Yeah.
battle of who has experienced the worst scenario.
Yeah, who has it the worst? Yes, who has it the
Exactly.
worst? When I tell you, oh, I had a bad day and it went like this, you say, oh, you cannot imagine the kind of bad day I had. So it's like that's why
Exactly.
I said it's an Olympics in suffering. You want me to know that I better pass my neighbor, but in a bad way.
Exactly.
Okay, so please, okay, go on. I can hear you. Go on.
Okay, I want to give an example of someone I had. So today somebody messaged me. This was someone I was working for. The person is a film director. So the person, like, we talked extensively about so many things, and there was a time the person told me certain issues that he was going through, and I was like, it is where, like, I was trying to use like things from the Bible and all of that to encourage him and all of that, and he was not getting. He was like, "You don't understand. Don't try to tell me this thing is like this. It's different." So by reading this book, I found out that I was just sympathizing. I was not empathizing with this person, and today God so faithful is that I read this book and now understand better. He brought something like that, a conversation like that again after asking, "How are you doing? Really?" And he just sent me, I just opened my message and I saw 10 text message. I was like, Jesus, what's this? And after reading everything, I remember my first experience with my conversation with him. And all I could say was like, an example that Michael, that the author of the book used, is like, if you cannot relate with what the person say, you can use something like, "I can't imagine," then you can ship in whatever. I just imagine what you are going through. I know all the stress and all of this and all of that, but I this is what I can offer. If you need any help or anything, you can call on me based on my ability to help you and all of that. And I felt so good because the reply was very good. Like, it wasn't like before when the person, you don't know what I was saying, where it is nowhere and all of that. So it was
Exactly.
easy. And someone tried to tell me that I don't know the person, it was a stranger, and the person was talking how he had not been to the house to church for years and all of that. And I can't go to church day, even on weekdays. I could not relate. And the person was talking how pastors are doing all manner of things. Me, I cannot relate because I don't get myself involved with judging pastors. So I didn't even know how to respond to the person. I was not like, well, I cannot imagine sha, but things like that happens. And the person like, yes, things like that happen, all this kind. It was not like, yes, I was like really flowing with the person and all, and it actually ended conversation on a good note, and provide a solution that the person is actually ready to go to church tomorrow. And I was just so happy because I was like, yes, I'm practicing what is in this book and everything. So
That's a good one.
That's a very
That's a
good
good
one.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It
now,
reminds me of
go on, please.
okay. It reminds me of the particular part of that book where um, one of the employee was chatting with I think maybe Michael or somebody else. It was like, I don't think this guy can handle the project. Like, he's just a new person. I don't know if you read that part. And he was like, yes, it's new. I was like, are you telling me? But later, like, they spent hours going back and forth. This one is trying to exert his own ideology that
Right.
I'm not sure
Yeah.
the person is fit to really do this. He's not doing that. And the CEO is like, I can do this. Like, he can do it. But after some time, oh, you remember this concept of validation, then it was like, okay, this is it. I really agree with what you're saying. Like, he has never tried this stuff before. And the guy was like, exactly. That validation, like, oh,
Hmm.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. And I
That
feel
was the point I was
feel
going to
you're
make
going
all along. Yes.
exactly. Yeah, so at that point when they were like at a midpoint, right? Then he was able to say, "Oh, I think we can just give him some room to showcase himself, and if our thought things go south, maybe we can have a way to pass through things." But I think he can do it. Let's see him try, but we just keep monitoring it. Yeah, yeah, and I know it's that's I know it will even be a very tough thing for you to come to me because if you look at people are talking bad about him and we as you only meant the good interest of the company and blah blah blah. Blah. Exactly, and the guy was giving this exactly kind of response. So, yeah, yeah, I'm just trying to relate to what Ajiri said. Yeah,
Okay, said,
another part of the book, let me just quickly chip this in, that I don't know if some of us got is how to describe your own emotions. Like
mm,
when somebody comes to your DM and says, "How are you doing?" So I really want to, if I think I really want to start a conversation with a person, I try as much as possible not to use "I'm doing fine." But if I don't want to, maybe I like, oh, I think I'm busy at this moment. I don't want to really have a conversation at this moment. I can just say I'm doing fine. But recently, I go into details like, oh, you want to know how I'm doing? I have a short answer, I have a long answer. Which one do you want? All of a sudden, you have a conversation flowing. Like, okay, I think I want the long answer. Some was okay. I think I want the short answer. Now I'll give the short answer, but it will still be a bit long. The person might like, so what will be the longer version? And and it helps me like dig deeply into my own feelings, like dig deeply into what I'm going through at that moment or what the situation is. And sometimes that word "fine," I don't think it's really sufficient these days. Like, yeah, yeah, when you just say "I'm fine," it's like I'm not ready to talk about anything. Just
Yeah, very
so,
true.
yeah, yeah. That's another part I learned from the book. Yeah.
okay. So now what you just said, Peter, can also come under, a third point for this book review, where it's talking about balancing validation and honesty. You want to validate someone or let them know, but you also want to convey your own feelings and emotions as honestly as possible while not invalidating the other person's, feelings or emotions. So now this also ties in with the question that Ejiro asked. He said, is there a place of corrections and validation, like a line so that you do not validate bad stuff? I think we're going to be talking about that in point three, where we're talking about where is the balance between validating someone's feelings and being honest when their feelings might be based on misunderstandings or incorrect information. So now I think let me chip in something that happened to a neighbor of mine where he was like, when Ajri mentioned church, I now decided, okay, let's see, because that's one area where a lot of people actually need validation more in some cases. And yet they seem to get it less and think they get more of judgment. But then that's a story for another day. Let me just stick to this man's story. He was one of the people that doesn't actually regularly attend service. And on the day he was having a christening for his child, his wife gave a very strong testimony of how the husband was present and everything all through her delivery, which she had a very difficult pregnancy and everything. And by the time that the pastor went on the pulpit, what he said was, "You see, even an unbeliever can even an
Oh
unbeliever is
my God.
able to provide such support and this for the wife without, and yet you believers in the church." And the man he said he was sitting in the front row looking at the pastor like this, and he was like, wow.
Oh
Oh,
So now, I don't know. I think that pastor could have learned something from this line. Say, what is the balance between validating that man's feelings and being honest? Fine, the pastor was being honest. The man doesn't come to church all the time. But I don't want to say for God's sake, but please, did you have to say that?
don't.
Was there a better way to have put that?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
like Ejiro is saying, so that we do not validate bad stuff.
Yeah, let me. In fact, I think since we have entered this area, let me just quickly chip this in. Uh, Emotional intelligence is a very, very important part of life. Like, it's a very important part of anything, whether leadership, church leadership,
Mhm.
general leadership, working with people. Like,
Yeah.
and it's so sad that emotional intelligence is not taken seriously,
Yeah.
even in religious setting, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to
Yeah.
maintain, this is what I think, this is what I think. And sometimes people, like, I have a friend of mine that would always say, Peter, you're trying to sound too diplomatic.
Mm.
Like, let's call it spade a spade. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes when you see me call it spade, you don't like it. So
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, the place of, validation. Validation does not mean you're saying what you did is right or what you did is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's just putting
Mm-hmm.
yourself, like, you being able to empathize with the person and be able to first feel the person's shoe, if at all. If even if you cannot feel it, let the let the person know that at least you know where it's coming from. Just like when people, let me just relate to that. Like when people go through some emotional traumas and they share it, maybe counselors or people who are not legitimate counselors, like they're not
Mm-hmm.
registered counselors, like maybe
Mm-hmm.
religious people, and they're like, they just give you this attitude, then like, oh, so this blah, 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 and stuff like that. Whereas what you need is not really that. Like
Mm-hmm.
an approach could have been like, oh, um no, let me not go that way. So it doesn't look as if I'm giving advice. A friend, I think, not a friend now. I think a teaching I listened to said that when it comes, especially to this Christianity of a thing, um, first thing is you need to put yourself in the fact that you are not different from that guy. You are not
Mm-hmm.
different. The fact that maybe you are getting it all set, you are enjoying some things, it does not make you better than the other person. It's just that you were exposed to some body of information.
Mm-hmm.
You were exposed to some friends or to some association that shaped your thinking. And you're exposed to maybe the grace of God as Christianity may come, I mean, as Christianity entails, that has made you taking some decisions that made you different. But let's remove those settings that I've mentioned. You might be in the same position as that guy. Like I remember I was having a conversation with my parents, and I was talking about somebody. I was like, I couldn't really discuss with this person because we don't really have like something in common, like this person did. But I still told them that, but I can relate. Like, I mean, I'm privileged to have stayed in Lagos, especially not staying in Lagos. While staying in Lagos, I had people that were able to mentor me, were able to show me some things. And I also went to the university. I was able to meet with some people that they exposed my mind, and then my parents. And so definitely that shaped the way I think, the way I approach things. So this person, like, oh, it's just village setting. So what much can you see? So I don't really expect. So just to tell you that the fact that I mentioned I cannot relate to this person does not mean that maybe this person is low. It does
Yeah.
not mean that the person is not my standard. Like I'm trying to be
Yeah.
proud. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
say that I understand where this person is coming from. That
Yeah.
maybe I would have been just like the person if I didn't have these opportunities, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's another way to like validate it.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. When you're looking at this, say the balance between validating someone's feelings, you know that education in itself is not just within the four walls of a classroom. There's an education, which is why I think in the previous century, a lot of wealthy people actually paid for their children to go on tours of the world because traveling, like our people say in Nigeria here, say travel to na book or travel to na education. You're exposed to so many people, so many things, so many cultures. You're able to see life from a different lens, and this can help shape some of your perceptions about some areas of life,
Your perceptions
especially
about
in the area
some
of
areas of
emotional
life,
intelligence.
especially in the area of emotional intelligence.
Okay, so we're talking about balancing validation
Talking
of
about
someone's
balancing
feelings and
validation of
feeling,
someone's feelings and
Yes.
and being honest. Okay, I don't know. I think I'm having network issues. Can you all hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
we
can hear
can.
you actually. Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know if
Okay.
Kingsley, can you not hear us now? I mean, like, I don't know if you're network is settled.
Rookie
Yeah,
Rookie has not been able to join in. We're not really getting that many comments on the LinkedIn. I've been switching back and forth, and I'd like to see more
I'm
and I'd
participation.
like to see more participation,
Okay,
Okay.
Rookie.
I can hear.
Okay, good. Please, could you like chip in on, you know, for example, conflict resolution, the strategies that you would use to maintain integrity while still being able to like validate the other person that you were talking to in a conflict resolution situation?
Yeah, I think she's not currently
Yeah,
available.
her network is really not very good. Okay, so Ajiri, do you care to like answer that? And you can drop your comments on these questions, that I'm just throwing out. Drop your comments and we'll read them. Thank you. Go on.
Okay. Thank you so much. What Mr. Peter said, the place of, you know, we measure like intelligence quotient and all of that. But one thing that people don't also realize is that someone can have a very high IQ but a very low EQ. That's emotional
Mm-hmm.
intelligence. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to read a quote from Karen Samason. It's from the book. He said that
Mm-hmm.
if you want to make a difference in someone's life, you don't need to be gorgeous, rich, famous, brilliant, or perfect. You just have to care. That's talking about
Mm.
emotional intelligence.
Intelligence,
So,
yes.
while Mr. Peter was ongoing, I was remembering something that I did, and I think I need to call the person after this conversation and actually really care about the person, show my care about the person. The person is like failing in is my coursemate, and she's like failing in most of her courses, and these are final year. And she did
Mm.
something. I was just backlashing her, just like she decided to go for tutorials instead of going to class. And everybody knows that attendance for this final year is very important. Classes are very important, and if you don't come, there are some lecturers that if you don't come to their classes, there is nothing you want to write in the exam, no matter the tutorial you go to. So, and she decided not to come for any class but just go for tutorials. And they always come to all our classmates. We just come to meet me and say like I'm our only friend, and they'll tell me that talk to this your friend. You will not talk to this. I said, you guys should go and talk to her. You should also your friend. I said, but you two guys don't know how to talk to. Ah, and then I went to meet her. She didn't want to listen to me. And one day I got angry and I told her that you be doing as if it's you that want to know everything past. Is it in final year that you want to know everything? That you now started going to tutorial. And it actually hurt her feeling that I thought that she was actually very busy with something. But right now I'm feeling like she doesn't want to pick my call because she feels I'm not like I'm not feeling what she's feeling. I'm like
You're
I
not
don't
you're
have
not
that.
you're not being empathetic.
Yes, and in that situation, she's actually wrong in like it's not like wrong, but like in going to other tutorial will not help her because even the tutorial she's going to is not the one recommended by the lecturers for us to go to. We still go to tutorial, but the ones recommended, and we see the reasons why they recommend it. Some people just want to do their own thing, thinking they are so right, but they also want us to validate them. And sometimes we in being honest, sometimes we tend to like forget the right thing to do. I don't know how to put it. Like she wants me to validate the wrong thing she's doing. Like she want me to agree with her. I actually did not validate her. But I was just honest with her. But I did not do that with emotional intelligence. I did not do that in the right way. So, in that situation, I think we just need to draw back. We don't just have to say everything we want to say from our head. That's why sometimes they said there was a saying that said, before you say things, you have to think it twice. You have to think twice before you say certain things so that you don't cause extra problems that you are not supposed to cause in that certain conflict or situation. So I think I didn't think twice before um replying her. Although she's not being it's not a good situation, what she's doing is not good, but I still need to have that emotional intelligence to feel what she's feeling and then be able to either help her to see the light, to see what she really needs to do instead of just, just saying things.
Yeah, let me quickly
So
interject here. So I think I like that story you just shared, and the quotes also that you accompanied that. And I will also like try to repeat what I have said before, like a particular quote I mentioned before, which is whenever you have the truth, it must be given with love, or the message and the messenger will be rejected, by Mahatma Gandhi. Yeah, maybe someone can type that so that others can see. Okay. So I think in the book the author gave like strategies on how you can validate others without being dishonest. So let's make something clear. Validation is not agreeing with somebody.
yes,
Validation is just you justifying the person's emotion, like justifying the person's situation. Okay, I think I get what you're trying to say. I think I get where you're coming from. I think this is it, this is it, this is it. I think this, and the person will be like, yes, yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Yes, yes. Then you'll be like, do you want to hear my honest opinion? Right? So in the book, the author said, before you give any advice, I mean, it was written, they said, avoid offering unsolicited advice. So before you give any advice, first ask what they want from you. That's number one. Ask what they want from you. Number two is ask permission to share your thoughts. Let me explain the first one. Sometimes somebody can discuss something with you just to ease the burden. They know what to do. They know what to do. They know the next step. They just need somebody to talk to. So you now, like I just talked to you about what I'm going through, and instantly I said, giving me a sermon on how not to. I mean, another way to approach things or stuff like that. Did I tell you I'm a dumb lad? I don't know what to do. Like me just the fact I'm sharing that with you does not mean that I don't know what to do. It's just like maybe I just need to just voice out and have that thing shared with somebody else without having it just within myself. So that's why it's good to ask, do you want me to say something about this? After you have validated, you're like, oh, no, no, don't worry, I know what to do. I just get somebody to share it with. In fact, this is what I will do. Blah, 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 blah. And like the author also mentioned that, like, when his brother called in, like, just share the stuff. He did not try to give any advice. He was just like, wow, validating his emotion and everything. So, and he was like, okay, so after you have already like, so what do you want to do next? And the brother listed tons of things that he already mapped out, which were in line, like which resonated with what he was planning to
Going to
offer as
say,
advice. Meaning that his brother has already thought it through. He just needed somebody that can just give him that listening ear.
yeah,
So that's
this
number
is
one.
what we call a
Then,
sounding board. Somebody to sound off their ideas on.
exactly, like you can just drop that. You can just yeah, a sounding board. Just throw that idea on the person, just hear the person's feedback. It's not like you don't know what to do, but you just want to get that
Mm-hmm.
feedback. Then the second thing is ask permission to share your thoughts, especially when it comes to things that you don't really agree with. After you have
Mm-hmm.
validated, you can ask, okay, do you want to get my very honest opinion on this matter?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm your friend, and I have to give you honest opinion. But if you don't want my honest opinion, it does not matter, right? That's after you're validated. It's like, okay, okay, Peter, you have come again. Okay, yeah, talk.
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of yeah,
Mm-hmm.
talk.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want to be that friend that I will come to you cannot tell me the truth. Like even though it's odd to hear the truth, but at least I should have that kind of friend that oh when I come to meet you, you can sit me down and tell me that guy, this nonsense you're doing is a nonsense. It's not like I just see you as someone that anytime I tell you, you just say yes, it's good, yes, like you're not adding value to my life. So when you tell them like, can I give my honest opinion? They're like, okay, you can go ahead. So even when you give me very harsh truths, right? In love, the person will still understand because first you are validated. Second is that you ask for the person's opinion. That if you can, I mean, you ask permission. Then the third is that you're not giving a very honest opinion, and the person will feel like, oh, I think I can rely with this friend of mine because he's not like everybody else who will just try to please you. I don't think everybody's looking for men pleasers. Yes, people like people
Mm-hmm.
to associate with men pleasers, But there are times when they're going through some issues, they need somebody that can tell them the real truth, the deep truth, and they'll come to you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, just give a sec. So now, when we're talking, this place we're talking about the overemphasis on validation. So, does excessive validation lead to dependency and the lack of self-reliance? Or do we all think that it's necessary to validate each other and others, for their mental health? I'd like us to have a debate on this. I'd like us to say, okay, yes, this is my take, this is my take. So please feel free.
Yeah. Andrew, do you want to go?
Okay. I said excessive validation. What excessive validation can lead to dependency and lack of self-reliance, especially for people who have actually know, like, if you really do not understand the essence of validation, you want like people to always validate you on so many things. So whenever you are having communication, what's in your head next is not just even listening to the person or just being free as human, as normal human being would just talk, but you trying to apply so many things that you've learned from a book. And so you're always looking out for, oh, this person is going to validate me, oh, what's this person saying, oh, this. And it's not always going to be so. Like, the author of the book say it's not always going to be easy. You can't just follow all through all the steps that, or you want to. At first, you might start a conversation with someone and you might not be listening at first. Then maybe in the few, maybe the next 20 minutes, that's when you can start listening. You might not validate the person at once, or the person might not validate you in the conversation. Maybe after some time, or maybe it's even at the end of the conversation, you might just say something that is validative enough, and that will end the conversation on a good note. So when we depend so much on validation, it's it can make one think too much. Like, it can affect the mental health, because you're always thinking that, oh, this person does not love me, oh, this person does not listen to me, I cannot trust this person, and all of that. So we must also learn that even as much as we have knowledge of what validation is, what empathy is, there are certain times that there it's not like they are not needed, but let's just flow like a normal human being. Don't have to bring so much things from a book and use it, and you start looking like a robot. Because sometimes that is how AI does. They want to give you, you ask AI or something, they always give you that thing that makes your heart beat and say, oh, your dopamine will just rise, you are just joyful about the thing. No, it can't always be so, because we are human beings, and always expect people to fail in that aspect, because we all have flaws. We are not perfect. Yes, the gift of imperfection. We are not perfect, and that makes us human. That makes us better. So that's actually my own contribution on that aspect.
I think I
Okay.
love that take. That's a very, very nice take. Yeah, we are all humans. I think that's where uh, the misconception comes from. You're expecting this, you're expecting uh, the person to be perfect, you're expecting the person to validate, you're expecting the person to do this or do that. And that has led to so many scenarios of self-esteem, low self-esteem, has led to people losing their self-image, right? They have lost like self-dependency, so many situations. um, some have been become vulnerable through validation because they're looking for somebody to say this. Some have settled for less because of
Mm,
this same dependence on validation. For instance,
mhm,
let's say you have a very wonderful idea, a contrarian idea. A contrarian idea is an idea that is contrary to people's opinion, right? Like we have seen in science. So, like in research, you will get a lot of contrarian ideas that even your advisor can be like, no, this will not work.
okay.
Yeah, like even when the guy that they were trying, I mean, these the Wright brothers, when they were trying to make the F
The
flights,
yeah, those
airplane,
airplanes. Yeah.
a lot of people, even their family member, were like, I don't think that. Even someone that's waiting on validation, like, oh, make that move, the
Oh,
person would have failed,
I
right?
left the idea. Yeah.
Also, many business people, as entrepreneurs, you must let's take that bold move when everybody's like, oh, I don't think this will work. Even the investors will tell you it will not work. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, they are so damn sure that yes, I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
this should work, right? So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to follow your gut. But if you're the kind of person that you really appreciate validation over what your personal gut is saying, um, then that's a problem because you'll be limited. You're like, oh, at the end, when things not work, are you like, when things don't work, are you like, are you not the one that told me? And the person will be like,
Mm-hmm.
I told you. Don't you have your own common sense? Right?
True, very
So,
true.
so in
Yeah.
as much as validation is really, really good for emotional health, we cannot let it replace the place of dependency, the place of self-reliance, the place of knowing what you want and
Yeah.
doing it. So validation will just be like validation is just to be like, okay, somebody is giving a nudge. It's not somebody is giving you a final say, right?
Okay.
Yes.
The
Okay. So
fact that you're
now,
my mentor
okay.
and I
Sorry.
you don't agree with what I say or you give a nudge on something does not mean I have to do it. You have to be
Okay.
independent thinkers. Yeah, I read
Okay.
I'm still revising this book again. Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Like I read the book every year. This is like my fourth year of reading the book again, like almost 8 times now. And if there's one central message I'm always taking from the book is the power of independent thinking.
Thank you.
Learn to lead yourself. Learn to be the one calling the shots in everything you are doing. Don't allow someone else call the shots for you. Let them be only suggestors,
Mm-hmm.
advisors, not the people that call the shot for you. Yeah.
Okay.
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 Can I?
Uh, okay. Sorry, Ajay, I was going to like, okay, just a quick one because I wanted us to go to the second half of it. We're just talking
Okay.
about the first half. We've not talked about the second half of that question, which is versus necessity of validation for emotional health. We've not touched that at all. So I was expecting, just like,
Okay.
okay. So quickly, let's hear your you got to say.
Okay, necessity of validation for emotional health. Okay,
Yeah.
I wanted to give like an everyday example, something that happens every day,
Okay.
and everybody can relate to, and that's in terms of relationship and um so many reasons why they said there's a popular saying that ladies always need validation from men. That's why so many others, like if you cannot lead yourself, like what Mr. Peter was saying, if you can't lead
Mm-hmm.
yourself, then you fall you fall into this temptation of so many other things that can affect you emotionally. Ladies that there's like
Mm-hmm.
you meet a man and the man is telling you, oh, you are so fine and all of that. There's something that my mom told me. Say, "Ah, if a man tell you that you are so fine, don't be doing as if yes, you are too yes, you've not had it before or you don't know. You know that you are fine. The only thing you could tell the person is, oh, thank you so much for your compliment. It's not like, thank you. And that's what so many people, so many ladies does today, and they fall into the wrong hand or the wrong men hands, and
Mm-hmm.
they end up destroying them emotionally because of they are drawn by cheap validations from men.
I like that word, sheep validations.
So all those things can contribute to your the emotional health of people, and sometimes even death, because some of these ladies at the end of it, even men are not excluded from this. Some men are, not that they are weak, but let me just talk about ladies. When they get so much validation and from these men, like I say, cheap validation from these men, and so many things are happening in the relation. Maybe the man is beating her or so, and because she has never heard of this thing from any other person, so she's feeling like nobody else can give her that validation or herself. She's not dependent. She does not know how to lead herself. I'm like currently taking a course and in ALS, and there is this thing called 8 meta skills, and one of them is leading self. Apart from leading others, you must be able to lead yourself first before you can lead others or do any other thing that can make you successful in life, both in relationship, in business, and whatsoever you feel you find yourself in. and so they are not they are not dependent on themselves. They are just there, and they don't want to leave that relationship because they are getting so many things. Validation in terms of material things, validation in terms of what the man will tell them, oh yeah, so fine. Do you know that these are, and they've not had it from somebody else. And sometimes these men can even beat them to death, or they can fall into depression, which is an health issue, and sometimes even kill themselves. So
Mm.
this too much validation or unnecessary validation or cheap validation can actually affect the emotional health of so many people, even in business,
Okay.
especially in
Okay.
relationships today. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
let me quickly chip
uh,
in the balance.
I wanted to say something. Sorry, Peter.
Okay. Yeah.
Just give me a
Yeah.
sec. Now, what Ajiri still said is, now let's look at this debate that we're talking about. We're still coming at it from one side. Said excessive validation can lead to dependency and lack of self-reliance. We're still talking about that. I wanted us to talk about the necessity of validation for emotional health. Now, let me give you an example, please, to buttress the place I want us to go to. We're not yet there. I read somewhere that a psychologist and a relationship analyst says that he has a proven method that can predict divorce in couples with an accuracy of about 93% or more, based on the level of and the absence or presence of validation in their relationship. He said that if a relationship has happily married couples who validate each other's emotions at least 87% of the time, they will be they will continue in that marriage. But if most of the couples in that research, you notice that only 30% of them used validation with their partners. So would you now see this and say, for emotion in a relationship, to an extent, to let your partner feel heard, to let your partner feel seen, to let them feel understood? That's the area I
Yeah.
want us
Yeah. I
to
think
go.
I agree with you. Like, um, validation is very important for emotional health. For example, I'm a PhD student, so sometimes you can just go and meet your advisor and you're like, professor, this is what I've done, this is what I've gotten, this is my results. Just that whatever you say at that time can really break your spirit before you can even get yourself back. So if you say that, oh, great result, like my professor likes to do that a lot, even if sometimes like you tender a very nonsense result, you'll be like, nice data, good, look, I love that. Yeah, and you be like, yeah. And sometimes I like get into my head. I'm like, okay, yeah, I think I've done fine, but deep down I know that I've not done too well. Like I can still do better. But at least the fact that I'm getting that stuff, so it really helped me. I remember the day it was on. I don't know, maybe it was not feeling too well, or maybe it was not too much in the going in the better mood, and it was like, Peter, are you sure you can really? Like he doubted me for a second. Then later I was able to get himself back and like, okay, this. But that little split almost changed
Let-
my
yes,
mood. I was like,
mental
oh,
state.
exactly. So like, especially if you're in grad school, that having an advisor that is emotionally intelligent is very crucial because you are going through a lot of emotional stuff, a lot of field experiment, field equipment, and you're trying to get results, and so you don't look like a dummy or look like someone that's not productive in the lab. They now have an advisor who is now not validating you. I think it's to be a nightmare. So that's one case, like my case. For like couples, validation is very, very important. For example, I think in the book, the guy mentioned that there's a particular husband, according to just that analysis you were also referring to, who said, "Oh,
Mhm.
look at that car." Actually, he was not trying to talk about the car. He was just trying to raise up a conversation, right? So that there can be a flow. But the wife did not understand. Just like, okay, she was just doing what she should do, like nice car. I mean, you can afford it, you can't afford it, all those kind of response. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we're easy to shoot the gun to advice. Oh, okay, do this or do that. Yeah, it was not like, oh, that's not what I wanted. Or the case of the child, and I think this is very important for parents. Yes, parents.
Mm-hmm.
Where we are at a stage, like we have seen things differently. We have seen life from a different perspective. We have made our different mistakes and
Mm-hmm.
learned our lessons. But what we'll see those maybe our children, or let's say the juveniles coming up, and they have not gone through this thing, so they are limited in their knowledge, right? But they always see their knowledge like an overarching kind of stuff. So that validation is very important. Yes, it will not help them. Yes, it will not save them for anything. Like, it is not good for them. For example, the case of social
Mm-hmm.
media, like the way people are like, why you wasting your time on social media? When I was at your age, people don't start to talk. When I was at your age, I don't have a phone, I don't have time for social media. I was focusing on my book, I was doing this and that. I was
Yeah.
like, and the girl was like, why give a damn? Like, why are you telling me your story? I mean, I know the message you're trying to pass is that you need to focus. We're like, oh, your guys are so opportune. You have social media, so you enjoy, and stuff. I mean, you validate what they're doing, but like, but doing that this stuff is also a stumbling block. Do you know how many hours people are spent in this? Like, oh, that's true. Because you have validated what they are doing, and now you have seen, you're trying to show them another perspective. Then, for married couples, sometimes I know this is very peculiar to. I don't be biased to women. No, when a lady says something, she's not actually saying something. Like Peter Drucker
Oh,
said. Peter Drucker said, the most important thing in communication is hearing what
what is not said.
wasn't said.
Not said, yeah.
Exactly. So, and ladies really want that, especially. I mean, like they're saying this stuff, but that is not what they're actually saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think that quote is actually for all ladies.
You hear a question like, do I look fat in these jeans? And you turn and look at her and say, I think it makes you look fat too. Say, so you're telling me that I'm fat.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if anybody has gotten that before, but I get that
Yeah.
a lot. I've heard that as a very common complaint about, from men on their other or significant other. And she asks her, and you give her an honest answer, and she will not tell you, say, are you saying that? Didn't you just ask my opinion?
Yeah, so you can see, and stuff like that, as little as that, can just break the marriage. And like,
Mm.
he's always nagging, he's always saying this. Like, I'm not nagging, I'm just always telling you the obvious truth.
You don't appreciate me. You don't like the way I am, the way I am, my natural self. Things like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so
so seriously, and they keep everybody to read this book.
what are the downsides you see to over validating? I think Ajiri, or was it you, please? It was Ajiri talking about validating in children. So that's one area where over validating might not be so beneficial.
Yes. Let me just interject on that. Like, I think in the book they also mentioned that there are some exceptions to validation. Like
Mm-hmm,
in case of children, when they are definitely wrong, you don't need to ask for their permission before you
mm-hmm,
can tell them what is right or not, right?
mm-hmm. Yeah.
And but I think I still want to maintain that thin line that there's a difference between validating and agreeing with somebody. And at some point, you need to let people know that. I mean, especially your kids or the young ones, like don't always don't always expect people to agree with whatever you are saying, right? That's one. But the fact that I validating does not also mean that I agree with you. I think I'm trying to find a way to put that word. Like, there's sometimes that when you're having a conversation with somebody and they get that validation, they don't
Mm-hmm.
want to hear the other part. What you want, they don't even care about whatever you said, and they'll be like, "Oh, Peter agreed with what I said. I didn't agree with what you said. I only just validated what you're going through." And when it was not the point for me to tell you my honest opinion about it, you didn't really care. So I mean, those are also. I mean, I've also mentioned some downside. I don't want to reiterate them again, as it relates to self-esteem and self-image.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I feel we really need to be careful that we should not at all times seek validation. Let it just be that maybe you really think that you need it, or maybe something that comes up spontaneously, right?
Mhm.
And also, the fact that you are exposed to what validation means does not imply that everyone should validate you, or you start
Exactly.
trying to correct somebody else. Like, I don't think you
Mhm.
have to validate. That is
Mhm.
not another way because I don't know what it's called. Maybe it's knowledge. I'm trying to remember what they call it. The course of knowledge. Once you know
Mhm.
something and others don't know it, you start expecting them to do what you know. Well, they don't know it, so why should you expect
Yeah.
that yeah.
Mhm. Okay, so just to add to what you said about the potential downside of validating, especially I've noticed when it comes to children. Okay, I used to work as a in my church. I used to work as a Sunday school teacher, and I noticed something in children, especially when you cheer them on, not when they get things wrong. When you cheer them on when they get it right, even though it is a slight line, between failure and success, but you actually focus on the success and not the failure, they feel strengthened in their emotions, their self-esteem, and they do better next time. So this is another area that we need to also, balance it when we deal with children. When we deal with those because they're still in the moldable phase, so they need to know that okay, I didn't do well. They also need very they like honesty. If you lie to a child, they'll come back and tell you about it. I've noticed that too. So you tell them, oh, this is good, but you could have done better, and this is where you could improve, and this, and they like that. So you're validating that, oh, you did well, I know you tried, but there's still room. There's only room for improvement through honesty and being integrity, holding on your integrity in their communication with them. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at the cultural and gender differences in validation. We just touched on some of them, examples, asking women and men in relationships. So now, how is gender differences how are gender differences in validation and gender difference, how are they perceived and how are they received? And we just gave an example between the females and the males. Um, so what about the cultural variations in the process of validation, like parenting? Okay, just mentioned a little about that as well. But you can also let me know. These guys drop your comments in LinkedIn. I'll be sure to read them out. So
Okay,
Ajiri or
so let
Peter, if
me
you'd like to add something.
yeah, I want to add something. Although I'm still waiting for people to comment so I can get other people's insights, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with regards to gender differences, I think uh, I don't know if this is really true, but I know it's to an extent it's true and not still true. Like in the sense that things have changed, the world has changed. We have different sexes and different gender. I mean, we have two sex anyway, but different gender identification. But my main point here is that men are known or are perceived uh, to be logical with things, and most
Women
men,
are
not I'll not say
emotional,
men, but no, I'll try not to be um,
generalistic.
generalistic, right? Yeah, yeah. So let me say most men um, tend to be logical in how they approach things, and they prefer to talk less and think
Mm-hmm.
more. So sometimes when they are silent, they are trying to like maybe they don't know what to say, or maybe they are
Process.
embarrassed about it. They're trying to process it, and the lady is trying to get a response. Like she likes to talk about stuff, and she like let's talk it through. And the guy is like, I don't really like to talk it through.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in that case, validation, how each person does his own validation might be different. Like maybe the guy might want to validate by being silent, like That's one way of validating you that I think you're right. It's really in the husband and wife scenario. Like, I think you're right. It's what you just say. Like, I'm bullshit. The guy just kept smiling. Like, yeah, I think you're right. That's one way of validating. You're like, no, the fact that you're not speaking is like you're telling me that you're angry with me or stuff like that. And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I'm not angry. You're like, no,
Mm-hmm.
this. So I think that's a different way. And the same thing, vice versa. The lady can do different way, and you be like, I think she's being lousy, or I think she's doing this and that. So we must really have at the back of our mind that the way you will validate will be different from the way the lady will validate. And even between men and between ladies, there will also be different ways of validating. And it also falls back to emotional, the
Intelligence.
personality type. Yes, the kind of nature of the person. If it's a sanguine, a a choleric, a phlegmatic person, or a melancholic person, right? If it's a sanguine are known to be extroverts, so the person can just validate you like instantly with energy, with this strong energy, like match your energy. And but if you're discussing with maybe a choleric person, the person can be very goal oriented, like and instantly wants to start giving you some parts. So sometimes you need to know the kind of person you're dealing with. I have a friend of mine. He's more of like a male flag. He's introverted and is very smart. He thinks he approaches things logically, right? And yeah, so he's more of like flag to the male. And I think we're having the situation. I was like, okay, I just went to meeting that. Do you know that you just messed up my entire day? As though you brought this stuff that you said you would bring. I would have used this. I would have used my laptop for this. I would have done something else with my time and this. And I was ranting, but actually, I was just ranting, just telling that I feel disturbed about
That.
how I've messed up my
Mm-hmm.
day, and I don't hold you responsible because initially I was the one that agreed that okay, don't worry, let's just use my system, right? But the guy was like, the guy never answered me, just kept quiet. I was like, why did you answer me? Then after we finished the entire event, it was not like, me, you came to meet me about the fact that I messed up your day. Like, what do you want me to do about it? You already agreed that I know I messed up. I should have brought my system, but I forgot it. But you now agreed that you should use your own. So you agreed. Why are you now coming over again to tell me this? And in my mind, like, no, this guy does not understand what I was going through. All I just needed is sorry. That's finished. Just tell me sorry. I messed up your day. Thank you for covering up for my lapses. As simple
Mm-hmm.
as that. But he does not understand. But because I knew that this the person I'm dealing with is a flag male. This is the way we approach things. It's much more logical. It's not seeing where I'm coming from, just looking at 2 plus 2, and he doesn't like to
Mm-hmm.
talk too much. I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
let me just let it lie. It's not a big issue. This is who the person is. So sometimes when you're getting validation from people, you need to, or when they don't give you validation, or maybe when they give it in a different way, you need to also factor in their
Their
personality traits.
personality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mr. Peter, you're actually very right on that personality type. Like, that's their temperament. Um, because I noticed something. The way I respond to people, certain people, actually change. Because what I do most of this time is that, like the society will always expect men, right? That's always been something that has been on, like, from time immemorial, that men should be stronger. So even if they are going through stuff and they need validation to help them emotionally, because men also feel, like, they are feelings, they're also human. There is no difference between them and women, except that of birth and all of that. So um like they said, a woman is just a man with a womb, right? So I tend to, like, most of my friends now, I know their temperament, I know their personality type. I do it out of random. I'll just say, do you know your personality type? Call, and then I will do a test for them for their temperament and so some of them don't understand the reasons why I do these things, because I've noticed that there's a certain way you communicate with this person, there's a certain way you communicate with this person will not want to tell you certain things, and the way they even respond to you on certain issues differs, and you be like, does this person even understand? Does you even know what this is and all of that? But because you don't know their kind of personality, especially people that are choleric, they are very serious minded people, and you can be mixed. Like me, I'm a mix. I'm a both a melancholic and a choleric person. But because of that melancholic temperament I have the ability to like empathize with somebody, see their emotions, like see through what they are not actually saying and try to picture myself in it and respond to them. But if I don't also know um you as a person, like there's a way you respond to me and it's not even giving, like it's not making sense to me. I'm trying to get validation from you. I might just think that you are unreasonable, that you don't have emotional intelligence and all of that. But there is more than emotional intelligence. There's also the temperament part. There's also the personality type, and people need to understand that people are different, even though they are human. So it's not everybody that can do what you can do. You like some people, validation comes to them so easily because that's who they are. That's they don't even need to read I hear you book to know what validation. They give it without even know the meaning of validation because that's their temperament, that's their personality. Why there are people that it's hard for them, even if they want to do it, even after reading the book, it's still hard for certain people. They have to continuously remind themselves of it. And everybody that surround us, we must learn at least out of the 100% of friends that you have, 60% or 40% of them, you must know their temperaments and their personality. So you know how to bring things to them, how to respond to them, how to communicate with them at the end of the day. So that,
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, thank you so much. And now, just on the last point, before we move on to the next one, which is our biggest takeaways, we're looking at it from the societal perspective of validation. There are cultures that do not believe that it is polite to, how do I say, give an honest answer when they feel it would embarrass the receiver, that is the person asking the question you know so now you are asking a question. For example, I read this somewhere in a research that in Japan, for example, it is considered impolite to stray to any part of the two extremes, either being enthusiastically in agreement or being negative about something. So they want to stay in the middle. So in such a societal norm, an expression of validation, even where you are doing terribly, you would hear the person who say, "Oh, that's fair, that's good," and you are doing terribly, just like you said now about with your lecturer. So society also sometimes can actually influence the way validation plays out across different people, genders, and cultures. I just wanted to chip that in. So our biggest takeaways from the book.
Yeah, let me even quickly interject here and say something.
Okay.
You're very right. Let me talk about the education system here in the US,
Okay.
because I'm in the US, so I think I can say something about the US. Even when you say nonsense in the classroom,
Mm-hmm.
a lecturer will never say uh, you're wrong.
You would never say that's nonsense.
You will never say that's nonsense. You will never say you're wrong, even if you said the absolute nonsense.
It has to be PC, politically correct. So
Yeah, so I'll say I think you're right based on your own perception, but we're looking at it from this
other perception.
direction, like I feel like look, in my head I'm like this guy just said nonsense. If it was another part of the world I was like they'll have told him to his face.
Oh, yes. So
it's
that
true.
is, yeah, that is how society can influence the norms
Yeah.
of validation. Yeah, yeah.
And, and even if
Uh,
you even if like another thing is like you cannot be told you failed.
oh wow.
Like maybe you didn't perform well in the you can see what I said, you didn't perform
Mhm.
well, but like even if at 0/100, you did not fail.
They
You
fail.
perform well.
You see, I
So
just tell
like
you that word. They fail. Ah.
exactly. So there's some words that if you use on students, and the student can take it to court for that. That's to tell you the power of society when it comes to validation. So
Validation.
sometimes,
Wow.
and it's very good that we understand validation because during the first few months I came to the US, I started working with my advisor. Like I was getting the validations. So I was like, oh. At the point, the validation was getting to my ear, like, yes, I'm doing well, I'm doing that. But later I was like, no, no, Peter, you're not in Nigeria. Okay, let me call it. I mean, like, you're not in Nigeria where if you don't do well, people just say to your face, like, yeah, if you're doing well, people say you're doing
So
well.
you had to learn to
You're not doing
listen
well,
to
they'll
what
not
was not being said.
yeah, so exactly this is what was not being said. So since then I don't really take the word, oh, you're doing great and stuff like that, which I really appreciate. Um but I try to listen to what is not being said. So sometimes I'm like, okay, Peter, you're doing well, but I think you need to work on your slide. So maybe like say that, oh, I think the way you I don't think I can see what you wrote on your slide yet. From there I can get that, oh, this is what is not being said is that Peter, you're terrible at making slides. You need to improve on that. So you can see like so it's very good the society you belong and learn
Yeah,
to get the
yeah,
honest feedback even when they're not saying it like in the because that's the way
exactly,
society propels them or
exactly.
makes them say their words.
Say yeah, oh,
So
yes,
yeah, that's
yes,
let me check that thing, yeah.
yeah. Okay, so uh, what are our biggest takeaways?
At this point, I would like the audience to really drop some things in the group, like on the comment section, like what are the things you have learned so far in this. I think we've had like almost 1 hour 47 minutes of conversation, so it's good to have like
Yeah.
feedback. Yeah. So, Andrew, maybe you can go first before I say mine.
Okay. My biggest takeaway from the book actually is that the last page of the book it says something that what's your expectations, that
Mhm.
you can always validate someone, but you can't always guarantee that they will accept it or react in the way you did hope they would. Either being honest, either be true or not. And it also goes the same way for us. You can someone can validate you, but you must like just watch how you expect it, like watch your expectations. That's just like my biggest takeaway because it can really affect the way you take validation. If you expect so much validation, it can affect you. And also if you don't receive enough validation in certain situations, it can also affect. It's in both ways. Just um learn to be in between. Like, I don't know, just learn to, if you don't receive validation, learn to be self-reliant. If you receive too much validation, also learn to I don't know, analyze it and see that, oh, I don't need too much of this because it could affect me. So I will take, it's not validation should not be just garbaging everything. The other things that you should also garbage out. That's why we kind of have two ears. Sometimes everything doesn't go into the same ear. Sometimes one comes from this ear and moves out of this ear. It's not everything that you take in. It's not everybody. Just like Mr. Peter has said, in the school he is in, um, you are not expected to tell a student that you fail, but the student should also understand that even while the lecturer or the supervisor is telling you that, oh, you did well or you did not really do well, you need to do this thing well, you must understand that, oh, I did not do well, I must improve
Well,
on myself. What I just understand is that he doesn't want to make me feel bad, or he doesn't want to hurt my emotions also. You must also learn
mhm,
that, like, much you just have to learn so much so that you know how to balance things. That's just my own.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I agree with you. Like you just said it exactly. Um, so I will not mention what you have said. So let me just say some other things. I'll say my biggest takeaway, and I'll say like some conclusive remarks, like that I feel that people should not forget, the audience should not forget. So for me, like my biggest takeaway is that you can validate any emotion, whether it's positive or negative. Also, validation is not about agreeing, it's about understanding.
Mm.
It's not about agreeing, it's about understanding.
Understanding.
Yeah, so it's not like I agree with you. It's like I understand what you are going through. I understand you. For the part of positive, validating positive stuff, I think most of us have kind of tilted to validating the negatives
Mm.
too much, right? And we lose the part of positive. For example, when your friend posts some things on LinkedIn, I just got a job, I secured this thing, just that simple like button or just commenting congratulations
Mm-hmm.
is a big validation. I'm telling you. And
Mm-hmm.
from there, I've been able to create rapport with some people just because I come to their page to just comment on whatever they have done or just what they've achieved. I'm like, oh, it's Peter. And again, some people come to my DM. I don't know them from Adams, but because I've seen them consistent on my page, like replying, always validating anything I'm posting or stuff like that. Whenever they say something or whenever they send a DM, I'm always eager to give them that attention because they have given me attention too. So all those little things, for some people that are listening to this now, maybe I've been reaching out to some people on LinkedIn and or reaching out to some figures. Maybe your even your mentor. Let me look. A mentor is someone close to maybe your role model that you want to have a conversation with just by validating all the good works they are doing, like, oh, I think so. I really enjoy what you did. Like, I enjoy your teaching. I enjoy what you just talked about. Those single acts can really make up a big bunch of effects. That's that. Then for some like takeaways for the viewers, um, so I think what the book really entails again, as regards validating, is first thing first, listening. That's L, listening. So listening attentively, listening empathetically. Number two is micro validate, like just simple conversations. Like you're not trying to steal the spotlight. You're trying to give the person the spotlight, but let the person know, like, I
Mm-hmm.
understand what you're going through. So that's like a micro validation. Then you have validation. That's the long validation. That's after you have given that, oh, what's up, or something like that, and the person has now opened up to give you much more information than what he has shared before. Then you can now validate. Like I said, validating is like you're understanding what the person is going through. You're not agreeing to what the person is going through, right? Then AP, which is asking permission to give feedback, right? If you feel that now you want to give feedback, so you can try to ask permission. It's not all the time that your advice is really solicited, right? Then after you've asked the permission and they've given you go ahead, they cannot give the feedback. That's GF. Then validate again so that the focus will not be on what you have said. The focus will be on what the person is experiencing, right? So that it's not like as if you are stealing the spotlight, right? And then validate vulnerability. That is, you're letting the person know that I really appreciate the fact that you feel you can share this with me. Like, it's not everybody that can share the stuff. So you're validating the person's vulnerability. That I know that it will have taken you a lot of effort, a lot of mental push before you can actually open up. So, yeah, that's my major feedback and conclusion.
Okay, thank you so much, Peter. For one, I I think the first step validation method for me is my greatest takeaway. I'm at the start of the session. I also made mention that I'd had an active listening class, and this just seems to, bear down on what was mentioned and how important it is in communication to really hear the other person. So for me, it's like, say, the first step is you need to understand this person, what they're saying. You need to validate what they're saying. Tell them that this thing is valid. Okay. Then you need to, first, you have to be able to listen to be able to understand and validate anybody. If you're not a good listener, while they're talking, you're talking over them and all that. You won't be able to hear what they're saying, let alone to understand it or validate it. You now identify the emotion that is fueling what those, the words that are they are saying, those things that they are telling you. What emotion is coming through to you? Now, after having identified that, then you validate that emotion. Look, really, it's valid. It's valid. I don't really know speak Yoruba very well, but this proverb sounds better in Yoruba. And Peter, would you oblige me by just saying that? I said, you can't beat a child and tell it not to cry.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Please, I'd like you to say it in Yoruba. I actually like it the way it sounds there, but I can't say it.
The worst person you can ask for that. But
Oh, wow.
he's like, oh, they no money. Come on, come out. Don't worry.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, you see, the thing I am saying is, okay, this person is hearing that they're listening to me, they're understanding where I'm coming from, they're understanding the words I'm saying, they are seeing that my emotions are valid, and then they are telling me that those emotions are valid, you know? So, this is for me my takeaway. Thank you. Okay, great. I'm getting some others. Said 70% of our communication is nonverbal, is delivered via body language, tone, voice, etc. And so their takeaway is responding to someone's excitement with an obvious lack of interest. Even if your comment is positive, it may be just as harmful as responding with a negative, discouraging comment from Fidelis. Okay, see, that's the takeaway from Fidelis. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing. Wow. I think that was something like what Ajiri was talking about, talking to somebody and the person was pressing phone. Huh? Things like that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, I'd like to see more comments. Come on, guys.
Yeah, I think we're about wrapping up the session. So I think we have from. Let me refresh again. Maybe I'll get another feedback.
Some, yeah.
So I think that's all we have. Just from
Mm,
Fidelis. Okay.
okay.
Yeah. While we're trying to like maybe get some feedback, I just want to like take the time to notify anyone who's not a member of TBRC. Yeah, let's look at that club. You can join TBRC. Just click on just type this link on, or just type this URL on Google, https tinyurl.com/join capital G and TBR, or you can go to our LinkedIn page and you'll see websites. Just click on the websites, or you can send a message to me, or send a message on on our LinkedIn page, which is the Elite Predators Club, and somebody will respond to you with the details. Okay, so we'll really appreciate you joining us, and we'd like to get the feedback from the session. Whatever you think that we have done well, let us know. Whatever I think we can do better, we also appreciate that. Okay, yeah. So I think Regina, thanks so much for hosting the session. Like I really enjoyed the flow.
Thank
I enjoyed the
you.
conversation. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Ajiri.
before we round up, please, just a quick
Yeah.
one. So
Okay.
you were mentioning, yeah, looking us up on LinkedIn. You can also get our videos on YouTube. Okay, so if you search for the Elite Book Readers Club or just type TEBRC on YouTube, you can be able to follow up on all our past book reviews. Thank you. Please go on.
Yes, yes, that's very important. So yeah, on YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel, the Elite Cricketers Club, so you can look at our last month discussion on finance. It was really an
Really
interesting conversation,
great.
just like this
Yeah.
one.
My
And it was
money,
really
your money.
expository.
Yeah.
I learned so many things from them. Even
My
my
money
mom spoke
journey.
out
Yeah.
like on that video. Like Peter, I
Ah.
really enjoyed that video. Yeah, so you can go back and check some of our past sessions, and even this one will also be on link on YouTube, which you can watch. Okay, yeah. So thanks for that. So thank you so much for those who have joined. We really um, appreciate your time. Like we say in TBRC, everybody is a reviewer of the book. We only just have special reviewers for the sake of having like a very meaningful conversation of the book, right? And if you join TBRC, we usually ask members to indicate interest if they would want to be a special reviewer for that month. So it's not like anybody's mandated to it. So it's a great privilege to have um, Regina here, to have Ajiri, and to have Kingsley and Rukere, who were really battling with the network so many
Wow.
times. But sadly, we couldn't get much more information from them. But they really tried, and we did not take that for granted. Um, it's very important. I appreciate the entire e-board of the Elite Readers Club. So it's not a one-man show, like I said. Ajiri is the financial secretary. Regina is the vice president operations. We have a lot of executives who are working behind the scene to ensure that the club runs and functions very well. So credit also goes to them. The fact that we can have this book review is a testament to the job they have been doing. So thanks also to them. So until the last Saturday in August,
August.
we'll meet again. So till then, stay tuned. You can join our platform and you get more information on that. So thank you so much for for tuning in. Bye for now. Okay, bye everyone.
Bye, everyone.